Hello, Smacketeers. This is Mike. I wanted to start this episode out with an apology to all of you. The episode is over a month late. Here it is, late October. It was supposed to come out in September. I am extremely sorry. I just have not had the time to devote to getting the episode out in time, let alone 4 weeks. I've been traveling all over the country due to work. So hopefully you forgive us for the very long timetable on this episode. So without further ado, here's Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter.
CineSmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to the main event! This is CineSmack! And the winner is...
Hello, CineSmacketeers, and welcome to bout number 90 of CineSmack, the podcast about films by filmmakers. I am your host, Mike Keeler. Joining me tonight is our panel of award-winning judges. First, filmmaker and owner of Arizona Ink Studios, Andrew, get over here, Zumwalt.
Toasty! Yeah.
I knew you were going to do that. That's why.
I have my quarters on the machine, by the way. Scorpion's mine.
All right. Second, filmmaker and owner of Cheshire Moon Films, Tom, quick, change the channel, Haggis.
Welcome to Kylie Smack, where we only talk about Kylie Minogue movies.
Nice.
Fun fact: this is our third Kylie Minogue movie, and I think we've only done one Spielberg and 0 Tarantino, if I have that right.
No, we've done Tarantino, haven't we?
Which one?
We
I don't
did
think
Reservoir Dogs.
Did we?
Yeah.
Against who?
Desperado.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my history doesn't go back that far. All right,
It has been 90 episodes.
It has.
It's hard to remember at this
it
point.
is hard to keep track. It is. They're all blurring together.
Third,
But still, 3-2, Kylie Minogue over Spielberg / Tarantino. So we need to fix that.
third filmmaker, writer, actor, and director, Kyle. Flawless victory, fine.
Oh, my name is Jose Martinez, and I am the French ambassador from Mexico in charge of this AN peacekeeping mission. This is as likely as this guy from Belgium being American.
Dude, do not tell me. Don't tell me. Are you ripping on Simon Cowell?
I kick your ass, Bison.
Are you? Who is that supposed to be?
Yeah, I am American male. I'm here to fight tyranny. Yes.
I'm completely. Oh my god! I should have watched these.
All right, fourth, filmmaker and owner of One Genome Short Productions, Gabriel. The day Bison graced your village was the most important day in your life, but for me, it was Tuesday. Roald.
Wow, I don't think I could follow that. I'm not even going to try.
That was like the greatest line ever.
Yeah, that scene, we'll get into it. That scene is particularly good.
Yep. All right. Well, if you can't tell what we're talking about, if you haven't read the title, here's your chance to find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, mystical ninjas and mutagenic murder monsters, welcome to the main event! Tonight, it's a spin-kicking, ice-ball-throwing, knockdown drag-out between two video game veterans. Who will suffer a fatality and who will score a flawless victory?
victory. In the first quarter from 1995, written by Ed Boon and John Tobias, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, starring Christopher Lambert, Robin Shue, and Lyndon Ashby. Mortal Kombat! In the second quarter, from 1994, written and directed by Stephen E. DeSouza, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, Raul Julia, and Ming-Na Wen. Street Fighter!
I have been looking forward to this for quite a while. Ever since we started the show, I've been wanting to do these two films. Someone is killing a cat in the background. Let's go ahead and move on to our first round, which is writing.
Round 1.
Writing. Okay. Guys, ready? You ready? Here, I'm going to give you a pitch. It's 1994/5. There are these super popular arcade games. Kids love them. You know what kids love to do? Kids love to go to movies, right? So we got a built-in audience. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to focus on the parts of these games that nobody pays attention to. The story that shows at the end when you win, or sometimes when you don't have money in the machine, it scrolls through the screens. We're going to focus on that. That's the story we're telling. All that bullshit that nobody pays any money to interact with these games on, that's the focus, okay?
All right.
Instead of having these movies be exactly like Bloodsport, but with the characters, we're going to totally fuck this up. You guys ready to do this? Who wants to lose some money?
Yeah, how much money
Raise your
do you
hand if
need?
you want to lose money. $20 million? Does that sound good? Guys, invisible boats.
I'll give you 18.
Invisible boats, guys. Jean-Claude Van Damme's still famous. We can just put an American flag on his arm. It'll be great. Kids love that shit.
Jesus.
The problem with the writing of these films is that they do not play to the strengths of these franchises at all. And they feel awkward as hell. And Street Fighter is like someone wrote a script and told your unfunny uncle to punch it up with jokes. So many fucking jokes. It's like an Uncle John's bathroom reader in this son of a bitch. Like, it's ridiculous. They never miss a chance to make a joke. But I'll give Street Fighter credit for one thing. It's at least a little self-aware. Like, it kind of knows its shit.
That's
a little.
That was a big
Mortal
part.
Kombat tries to be serious with all this otherworldly mumbo jumbo. At one point, a man, the Highlander in a white wig, shows up and tells everybody, "Hey guys, demons won 9 out of the last 10 of these things. Get on the fucking boat." That's what happens.
Right.
That's how we start the meat of the movie. All right.
What's your problem with that?
The thing is, the movie starts so hot. Mortal Kombat starts as well as Mortal Kombat can start. It's literally like fire and that Mortal Kombat song, and it flips to the logo.
Yeah.
You've got me by the balls.
Yep.
Then you immediately slow down and bore the shit out of me. Then wave your hand and a magic man tells me to get on a boat. Then you take all the things about the movie I like and you just completely ignore them. It's like so bizarre. It's like these movies remind me of. Has anyone ever seen the Super Mario Brothers movies?
Yeah.
The movie with
Oh, my
Oscars?
God.
Yeah. Take the thing that kids love and give them 0% of it. Change all of that shit. All right. Make the story the focus, not the fun or any of those things that people connect with. I don't understand. That's where I'm going to leave it. I don't understand.
Well,
I love
okay.
Mortal Kombat.
What?
I love Mortal Kombat. It's great.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yes.
The game or the movie?
The movie.
Oh, the movie
Oh.
is the movie is. We'll get to this, I'm sure. I think it's better than Street Fighter in a lot of ways, but it's not good.
No.
It's not good.
I love it.
I say the same
I
thing
love
with the
it.
other way around. Mortal Kombat is The story is absolutely horrible. They completely had to shoehorn this save Earth. I mean, it was seriously, dude. It was there were like levels in the movie. It was horrible. At least with Street Fighter, I thought they did a pretty good job of like taking the characters from the game and finding some kind of plausible way that these guys would all wind up in the same place together. Whereas with Mortal Kombat, it was just like, hey, look, there's Subs. Oh, fuck, there he went. He's dead. Okay, well, here's Scorpion. Oh, fuck, now he's dead. Well, we killed off the two most popular characters. What do we do for the next hour?
Yeah.
Tom, you need to stop your $10,000 a week cocaine habit.
No, I'm sorry. Street Fighter is like, I mean, it was like Kyle said. It was self-aware and it was funny because it knew it kind of had to be. And I thought the story was the name of the country was probably the second worst part of the movie.
What was it?
Shadaloo. Shadaloo.
Yeah.
It's the country and the underworld government that Bison and Sagat and Vega and all those guys run. It's like that story exists in the games, but like I said, it's what shows when you don't have money in the arcade cabinet or after you beat the game. Like nobody gives a shit about that part of Street Fighter.
But what do you do when that's your source material? Is a video game?
I think
you don't make the movie.
Or you make the movie like they made Bloodsport. You create a tournament movie, best of the best.
Well,
other movies like that.
But Mortal Kombat, I would say, out of all of the writing, sticks closest to the game and actually ends up at least in a kind of challenge where they fight each other like the game.
Yes.
I mean, Street Fighter just wants to build this story that you want to care about characters, and there's never really the big tournament that everybody freaking loves.
No.
You have conflict, but not, I don't know.
That's the thing, though. Like Mortal Kombat, I mean, I don't know if there really isn't a good story underneath Mortal Kombat. I didn't give a shit why they were fighting, but
you don't in the game.
I know you don't, but in Street Fighter, at least when I'm watching Street Fighter, I'm like, oh, I can understand why these two are having a problem with each other, and everybody flips sides all through Street Fighter, which is fine.
Yeah.
I think there were 3 different sides, and they were all just like flip flopping.
Oh yeah.
I look down to check my email, and I'm just like, why are Ken and Ryu mad at each other all of a sudden?
But it opens and says that it's based on Street Fighter 2, the game, and there's little of the game in the movie.
Yeah. The parts of the game, so they create stories for characters to be in the game, like Blanca and Dulcine.
Yes.
Yeah.
The most outlandish ways to get them in the game. Like, what the hell? Like, it's just baffling. It's so strange.
Yeah. So now I'm a little bit pre-video game for these things. I was a little bit older when these things were coming out. But I feel like now, are these games that you guys played? Were these like kind of like, are these beloved memories of these games for you?
Yes.
Did you guys play
for
these?
Me, yes.
Mortal Kombat. Yeah, so you would go to the arcade and we put our quarters up and you played the same character until you died and people would line up.
And at Lincoln in the cafeteria, we had a Street Fighter 2 cabinet, like arcade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So were they only console games like that? Or, like
they were only in the arcade at that time, and then they transitioned to home.
Yep.
Right.
I think with Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo's when they started coming to the home ports.
That's correct.
See, and I played Street Fighter 2, and I kind of lost interest when I got to Mortal Kombat. I was like, this is just Street Fighter 2 with little splashes of blood, like you'd see in the Earthquake movie. So I just kind of.
Don't bring up Earthquake. Don't bring up
Mortal
Kombat. I'm a little biased going into this bout tonight because I like Street Fighter the game a lot more than Mortal Kombat.
But the reason why I would say that the popularity rose with Mortal Kombat, the game, was because it was the first time they ever used motion capture and actual real life humans to actually portray in the game, as opposed to simply digitizing or doing animations like they did in Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's an Uncanny Valley thing because the animation on Mortal Kombat always bothered me anyway.
Well, it's not very high resolution.
It was the 90s.
It's not.
They went on.
Motion capture wasn't great then.
I know.
Street Fighter went on to do a motion capture fighting game based on the movie, which is panned as one of the worst video games that ever existed.
That's so
that's
messed
not
up
fair.
too.
So if you watch that on YouTube, just check that out. It's ridiculous.
Let's not dock the movie based on that.
The crazy thing,
but it's a great continuation from the movie because it feels like right in the same wheelhouse. You're like, oh yeah.
The crazy thing there is the name of the game is Street
Fighter the movie.
Is the name of the game. That's so confusing. What the hell? Is it the movie or is it the game? I don't get it.
Someone bought that game and put it in their DVD player and was like, I don't get it. This does not work.
This sucks. I want my money back. Yeah, so, I mean, being that these were arcade games, do you feel like there was any source material at all for a movie?
There's very little. You could put it in a pamphlet or the instruction booklet you got with your game, which is usually what they did. Or you could have written this in a small novella. It's not enough to stretch out to a 2-hour movie.
And most of that writing was merely just background story of where this character came from and their special abilities and why they have it. And that was it. Yeah. There was no like, oh, well, these guys are fighting because this guy over here is making more money, and these guys, there was no like oppression and wars and all. It was just these guys are fighting in a tournament. That's it.
Yeah. The sake of Earth is at stake in Mortal Kombat. If the Shadow Realm wins 10 straight tournaments, they can enter our world and take it over.
Yep.
That is delivered in one line by Christopher Lambert, who then laughs very creepily at the camera.
Yes.
It's so weird.
And that is the opening like text that shines on the front of the Mortal Kombat thing that comes up, and then they start going through the characters and their background stuff when you don't have money in it.
Yeah.
Ed Boon was like, they're fighting because there's an underworld. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, cool.
These two guys look exactly the same, but one's blue, one's yellow, but they hate each other. Like, that's about as far as it goes.
In fact, it was so controversial that they originally released it without blood for the home consoles.
Yeah, Super Nintendo only had sweat.
It was, they replaced all the blood with sweat.
Anyways, that's a great period of my life. Like, what a good memory those days are.
Oh yeah, same here. I sucked at playing them though. I was horrible at the games.
Yeah, I grew up with my buddy Matt, who was amazing at them. So I would like go with him to the arcade and just watch him kick the shit out of the game and watch kids watch him and be like marveling at his skill. I was like, oh, I'm the cool guy. I'll hang out with this guy who's good at video games.
Yeah, but it definitely does seem like that there wasn't enough source material here to really kind of create compelling characters and storylines. You know, I felt like Mortal Kombat was a whole bunch of just vignettes. It cuts and then they're all of a sudden in a different location. These people show up and there's a little something that happens, that maybe a little fight, maybe a little conversation, whatever, and then it cuts and then it's a completely different situation, and then it didn't seem like they were connected to each other in any way. There was no coherent like storyline. There wasn't like a timeline that happened. It was very, very disjointed to me. And with Street Fighter, I think there was a little bit more of a storyline. It seemed like the stuff was a little bit more connected, but it just didn't seem like that. We didn't really care like what was happening to who or why or anything like that. They didn't really create all that compelling of characters overall. Actually, I don't know. I thought Bison's character was the most interesting out of many.
Yeah, because it's Raul Julia playing him. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
pretty much doing
the next category.
And Mortal Kombat, they actually said while they're in the underworld, there was no time.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
And also the other part of the vignettes, I felt that they were trying to simulate more of how the game was. Yes, because that's you would play in a level and then it would shift and you'd be in a completely different level that made no sense, but it was just a different level.
Right. And maybe if they had made that actually more obvious, it might have worked out better. You know what I mean? Like,
if you haven't played the game, you wouldn't get any of that.
Yeah. No, it would just seem completely disjointed. Yeah.
Yes.
And it does. And the problem is they focus on some characters who don't have any history in the game, like Art, the black guy who's Johnny Cage's friend. He has like a big fight with Goro, and like, why does anybody care what happens to Art?
I know. Everybody was all like, they were all like heartbroken when he got.
I know. Who the hell's Art?
And couldn't they have like at least been like, hey Ed, you came up with all these really cool names for all these other characters. Can you come up with a name for this guy?
Art.
Oh, Art.
I don't know.
All right. Let's go ahead and vote, guys. Kyle.
Oh, boy. Whew. It wasn't good, but Street Fighter has an arc to some degree. Like, there are some motivations and about 1 million jokes that your dad is going to love. So I'm going to vote for Street Fighter.
All right. Tom.
Street Fighter.
Gabe.
Yeah, this is like voting for the lesser of two evils. It's hard to know. I think I'm going to go Street Fighter 2. Oh, no. Street Fighter as well.
Street Fighter as well.
Sorry.
That was the Japanese
I didn't mean to
sequel,
confuse
Street
things,
Fighter as well.
Yes, sorry.
Andrew.
Well, that guy needs to take a shower after he hit me, so Street Fighter.
Wow. All right, trivia. Wow, finding trivia for the writing is pretty difficult on these two.
Did they even consider that? Do these movies actually have writing? I suppose was there technically a screenplay?
There technically was a screenplay. The original screenplay of Mortal Kombat was more faithful to the game in that it had graphic violence and strong language, making it a R-rated script. However, the deal that the producers had with New Line Cinema included that they deliver a PG-13 movie to keep the film accessible to the target audience, mostly teenagers. And the only thing that I can find about writing for Street Fighter was during the fight scene between Ryu and Honda, a text on the wall is written in Esperanto. Atente incenerito este zorga, which means caution incinerator, be careful. So that's all I can find about the writing of Street Fighter. So let's move on to our second round, which is acting.
Round 2.
Fight! Clearly, so far, you know that I prefer Street Fighter to Mortal Kombat. I like the game more, and I like the movie a lot more. It's just the way it is, you know. If I'm at my local barcade, I'll drop, $5 in Street Fighter before I even look at Mortal Kombat. I tried Mortal Kombat like 2 weeks ago when I went. And I was like, yeah, I really hate this game. So as far as the acting is concerned, first of all, Street Fighter's got Raul Julia, which I think puts it over the top right there. So are we ready to vote? No,
I would say that Kylie Minogue does a good job as well. Like, she really is acting. She's trying.
She always does. She always does. And then is it Shun Li? The actress that plays Mulan is in there. So
as Chun-Li?
Chun-Li, yeah. She's she's Disney's official Mulan person.
And she's also on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever.
That's right.
I feel like the one thing that I was like, I saw it and I went, shit, I'm going to have to vote for Mortal Kombat at least one category, is when I saw Blanca. And I was like, what the Fantastic Four bullshit is this? Like, it was really bad makeup. Like, it was really like, you knew that the filmmakers really struggled what they were going to do with this character. Cause they're like, well, we can't do CGI because it's not good enough, but it was so weird and fakey, and it looked it looked really bad,
Oh yeah.
And that part completely threw me out of it. Like, that may even I may reach to go put the disc in later and watch it, and I'll be like, oh yeah, but there's that Blanca in it. Maybe I'm not going to watch this after all. Whereas the actors in Mortal Kombat all kind of, aside from Christopher Lambert, just kind of all blended together, and I don't really care,
How
and I didn't
dare
think
you.
any of them did a particularly good job. Whereas Street Fighter, it really comes back to what Kyle said about them being very self-aware. Like, we're gonna make a movie about a video game, and we're gonna have fun with it, and it's gonna have humor, and it's not gonna take itself too seriously. And I think that's where Mortal Kombat's fatal flaw is.
Fatality.
Yeah. Hey, I even wrote that. No, it just came to me. Anyway, so I obviously like Street Fighter. Aside from Blanca, I may re-edit it and just take Blanca out of it. so at the end, Dhalsim's just like, well, I'm just gonna go over there for a little bit.
I'm gonna.
I'll kill Charlie off at the beginning, just with a Wilhelm scream, and we'll just move on. Pretend it doesn't exist.
Well, that movie started with a Wilhelm.
Yeah, I know. Like there was it was literally.
I counted 6 Wilhelms in Street Fighter.
There's,
oh my God.
There's also
I sat
a
up and
Goofy
I was like,
scream.
and I was like, this. Okay, I know what this movie's. When you hear that, you're just like, okay, I know what this movie's trying to do. We're gonna have some fun with it. So anyway, that's kind of my take on it. I'm trying to think if there's any other actors. Grandel Bush is awesome. Agent Johnson was in there. And then and the guy that plays E Honda, he's always been pretty funny in the movies that he's been in. So it's fun to see him too.
Are you kidding me? Are you?
What do you want from me?
I think Christopher Lambert and Jean-Claude Van Damme share something in common in these two movies. They're action stars. They get on set and the director's like, action. And they do their line. They go, can we do it again? They're like, no, we got it. I'm just going to stare at the guy. I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that again. I got paid very little for this. So no, I'm not doing that. Raul Julia shows he's very much a step above all the other actors in these movies. I really liked Kylie Minogue because she seemed sincere and like she was really trying. Pretty much everybody else in Street Fighter is forgettable. Jean-Claude Van Damme, memorable because he's so bad and just doing what he does in every movie, but also pretending to be American, which is kind of funny. Although I do like the guy who played Zangief. He's in a football movie I love called The Program. And I really like him because I feel like he really embraces I'm just going to be as dumb and big as possible. And he really seems to have fun with it. And I enjoy that.
Yeah.
The acting in Mortal Kombat is super forgettable with the exception of Christopher Lambert, who, like I said, it just seems to be having fun and doesn't really give a shit. Everybody else just, it's so uneven. And the ADR really killed it in that movie for me. Like, it was so poorly done. It really distracted me. The guy who played Shang Tsung, I can't remember his name, but he's in Man in the High Castle, and he is great.
Kerry Takama.
He is great in Man in the High Castle, and he's really trying. Like, I feel like he's doing exactly what they're telling him to do, but it's just not. It's not good.
Well, I'm talking about the ADR, the Goro ADR is really
bad. Man. Everything about Goro is terrible.
Yeah, but how do you do that? How do you do that back then? That's maybe for a different category. But like, how do you? I mean, you don't have the CG available that you do now.
No, but they did have good animatronics to be able to do stuff like that. Other films have done it.
What year was Terminator 2? 91?
90, like 92.
92. Okay, so that's 3 years before this, and all the animatronics in Terminator 2 are way better than Goro.
Yeah,
true.
But it also comes down to
budget. They have the same budget.
It comes down to budget.
Yeah, I didn't have budget. Yeah, but man, he was so bad. Like, that would have embarrassed me to put that on screen. Like, it looked so bad.
Yeah, because it was like, I put a guy in a suit that he can barely move in, and so we'll just have him swing every once in a while and edit it, and it'll look awesome.
Right. Well, he barely did anything other than raise his fists into the air.
Right.
He was always just raising his arms up and screaming.
The one move they got. Well, he's the leader of the Netherworld's armies. If that's the case, why are we scared of him? He can barely fucking move.
Yeah.
He ain't leading shit. I mean, Art got a couple blows in on him.
Right.
Art. Well,
man.
and with going along with the acting, I mean, you have. I think they put in. Who was it? Bridget Wilson? Is that her name?
Yes, Bridget Wilson.
Sonya Blade. I think her and Quintana. I think both of them were put in the movie. Oh, these girls are hot.
Yeah.
They kind of look like her.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think
isn't that kind of casting for Hollywood movies anyway?
Well, I mean, but Kylie Minogue, I think, is in this. I think she's trying to get her name put out there. So I think she really put some effort into this. Mm-hmm. She felt the role. And I think, it's very awkward because she's like one of the only ones that really harshes in. And you're like, oh, she's somewhat believable, but she's just so out of place. It's Kylie Minogue. I will say Chun-Li is pretty good, though, in it. I will give Chun-Li. She has some of the stupidest lines, but...
Oh, well, yeah. And the dumbest sound effects she has to make with her voice.
Yes.
I just... Yeah! Hiya! All the time. Anyways.
The bad guy in Mortal Kombat, Shang Tsung, what's his name?
Gary Tagawa.
Shang Tsung.
Is that an acting thing or a directing thing when he just keeps his eyebrows up as high as possible the entire movie? I
thought they were fake.
People keep asking him a question and he's like, what? What? And his eyebrows are so high. I did I just miss somebody asking him something he didn't understand? Because he's just, that's his evil look. It's just, that's his personification of evil, is asking people to clarify what they just said.
I thought it was like Spock, where they just they were fake and they just needed to be up there so he looked more menacing? Question mark.
I don't know. His IMDb profile picture has the same thing going on. So,
if I ever see him at a Comic-Con, I'll be like, "Did your forehead hurt during Mortal Kombat?"
And his eyebrows will shoot up and he'll go, "Huh?" And then you run.
And then I know he knows, and he knows the joke, so he's in on it.
Yeah.
So when we get to the end of Mortal Kombat, has it proven that Johnny Cage is a fake and a pussy? Because he doesn't really do anything to help the situation, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, he beats Scorpion proved that for some reason he carries around a picture of himself signed. Which is weird. Where did he keep that picture?
Awesome.
It's great because it's like something you see at the end of a fatality in Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
Was that supposed to be from him?
Yes.
Yeah. He would leave that to his opponents in the game, after he did a fatality or whatever.
I couldn't tell where that was supposed to have come from.
It was called.
It's either he brought it or Scorpion is a closet Johnny Cage fan. Yeah. And when he died, it was like it fell out of his pocket.
It fell out. That was actually my thought.
I like that. I'm going with that theory. I like that theory more.
I do like that.
This demon from hell who's a skull in a ninja outfit really loves Johnny Cage movies.
And somehow got his signature.
He came to Earth at one point, met him, got his signature, and then went back to hell. It's like, I hope I fight that guy someday in some sort of Mortal Kombat. I love this theory. You're making this movie better for me, Gabe.
Yeah. It's all on how you look at it.
Well, maybe that's exactly how it all started. Maybe he got the picture and it led Johnny Cage to him.
He planted the stories about him being a fake. He's like, I got to get this guy in Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You sound like the writers of these movies.
That's a great idea.
I feel this is how the table went. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Put that in the movie somewhere.
Yeah.
It's got layers to it. You can rewatch it.
And then one guy came out and goes, we don't have time for that in the beginning. We have to bore them first and then get them on the boat as fast as possible. So we're scratching the backstory.
Yeah, we're cutting that part.
We haven't even shot it yet.
Tournament-based fighting, right? No, we're cutting that too.
Yeah.
Well, did you cut Art? Nope. Art's got a pretty big part of it.
Yeah.
Art's the heart of the movie.
Who's Art? He's some line guy's nephew. We promised him a line. It's fine. He'll be good.
Oh man.
All right. Well,
I thought the guy that played the Art in Street Fighter, DJ. He's not a pretty prominent character in the Street Fighter game, but I thought the guy that played him was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was good. They made him a bad guy. He's a good guy in the games.
Yeah, I thought his couple of quips were pretty funny.
Also, as far as I know, a Jamaican kickboxer, not a elite hacker who turned down a job from Microsoft.
No.
I don't understand that part.
He can be both.
You know what? He's a high achiever.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did we watch the same movies?
Yes, I don't know why you think Mortal Kombat's good.
I love. Oh my god,
the special effects are so bad, man. The chroma stuff is so bad.
Now.
Rawr.
Now.
Yeah, but we'll get
bad.
into it.
Yeah. All right.
Best acting in the movie is the end, where Shao Kahn yells from the sky, and it's just like the end of Masters of the Universe. Like Franklin Phillip pops up, he's like, "I'll be back." You're like, "Oh, they're making another one." Like, that's just what it made me think of.
All right, let's put it to a vote. Tom.
Oh, let me think. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go Street Fighter.
Gabe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Street Fighter 2. As well.
You're gonna have to keep doing that.
Damn it.
I'm going with Mortal Kombat because the chicks are hotter.
I'm gonna go with Street Fighter. Raul Julia really elevated that for me.
Oh.
Wow.
He levitated it.
Yeah.
With his little fancy hover shoes.
Yeah.
Which he never used until the end.
That's true. Jean-Claude Van Damme revealed later that during filming he had a drug problem, doing $10,000 worth of cocaine a week, and an affair with Kylie Minogue. Director Stephen E. De Souza confirmed in 2018 that Van Damme's cocaine addiction caused constant disruptions during filming. The studio had hired a wrangler to keep an eye on Van Damme, but this person was a bad influence himself. The action star would often call in sick, leave the set, show up late, or not at all, forcing D'Souza to find other scenes to film in order to make up for lost time.
How does that work? Like, how do you do $10,000 worth of coke a week?
First of all,
and
you
still be that fit, and
you give $10,000 you give $10,000 to the handler. They go get $1,000 worth of coke and the $9,000. And then you have Jean-Claude Van Damme telling him, "I did $10,000 worth of coke." And meanwhile, the handler's like, "Yeah, you didn't. No, sorry." It was the 1990s. You could have gotten a lot of coke for $10,000.
Yeah, I imagine.
In Mortal Kombat, at around 6 minutes, Steven Spielberg, an avid fan of the Mortal Kombat series, was set to make a cameo appearance as the director in Johnny Cage's first scene. However,
really?
scheduling conflicts force him to back out. Nonetheless, the director...
So they got a guy who looked like him.
Yeah. Nonetheless, the director character in the scene does resemble Spielberg, which is most likely a reference to this.
Crazy.
All right, directing, go.
Round 3.
Fight!
It's kind of like the writing category a little bit. Like, directing, is there any? That's my question. I don't know. These are pretty rough, directing-wise. I think there were a lot of bad choices made along the way. Like I said before, with Mortal Kombat, I didn't feel like it was coherent. And part of that is the story, but part of that is also the editing. It's just kind of like, here's... we have a series of little vignettes that we want to show that maybe relate to the game, maybe don't, but or maybe kind of try to build a character, but we'll just stitch them all together, and it really didn't seem all that coherent to me. It just kind of like, okay, well here's a scene with a couple of characters fighting, here's a scene with a couple of characters meeting each other and getting on a boat or whatever, and it just really didn't seem coherent at all. Now, Street Fighter, I felt like was a little bit more coherent. There was an attempt at least to have a storyline, but I think where they fell short was with the tone. The tone to me was inconsistent, because if they had gone full out campy and totally self-aware and let's just make this kind of like a little bit like an airplane movie or a police squad kind of thing, where it's just, we know that this is based on a video game. We know it's not going to be a compelling drama. Let's just have fun with it. And sometimes they hit it. There was one scene in particular where he had captured the reporter and had her, the Bison had captured the reporter and had her in his lair, in his room or whatever. And then she's like telling her story about why she's there and what happened. And then he's changing out of his formal clothes into something more comfortable. And there's just a whole bunch of little things in that scene that just really work. And the performances are kind of, they're understated, but are comedic at the same time. And that one scene, I'm like, they hit it there. They got it in that scene. But other scenes, the performances were just so ridiculously over the top and just bad. You know, Jean-Claude Van Damme was just terrible. You know, they miss it in other parts of the movie. But that one scene, to me, I was like, oh, if the whole movie had been like this, it might have actually been really fun to watch. It was fun, but it could have been really fun to watch if it was all like that. I don't know. I just feel like there was a missed opportunity there. And maybe because of some of the troubles with, you know, Jean-Claude and I don't know, maybe it was just bad directing. I don't know.
I was just thinking, that scene does not involve Jean-Claude Van Damme at all. So do you think maybe that's one they had more time to set up and work with because they weren't shooting around his crazy antics?
And there were a lot of great little details in that scene that made it so much fun. Like when he switches out of his clothing, you know, it's still very formal, but he has a different hat. Yeah. You know, and it goes from like a leather hat to like a felt or a velvet kind of hat, you know, which it seems like a kind of like a, you know, like a Playboy Mansion type thing. And then he makes the drinks. She's talking, and he's just kind of casually doing his thing, changing, and he makes the drinks and he turns around and it's got those I don't know, like those cocktail toothpick things in it with that having his logo on it and everything, you know. And it's just like there's a whole bunch of little details in that scene. And that line that you delivered at the beginning, Mike, is in that scene too. For you, when I invaded your village, it was like the biggest moment of your life, but for me it was just a Tuesday or whatever, you know. And it's those kinds of things that all came together in that scene that really worked. And if they could have captured that throughout, I think it would have been a much more enjoyable film. But I don't know.
Yeah, Raul Julia really did a lot of eye acting, upper face acting in that scene. That was great. All the timing and the beats where he's like putting his metal shoulder pads up on there and his metal gloves. And he's like getting into his smoking jacket. Yeah. And then it ends like a cartoon. It's like a cartoon scene. It ends with them all being gassed while he's hiding in like a plexiglass container, scowling at them. I think you're right. I think if that movie struck that tone more consistently, it would have been a lot more enjoyable. But it just is frantic. And I wonder how much of that is caused by, you know, all the delays and the problems they're having with the star of their movie.
Right. Could be. Yeah. And that's where I felt like that one fell short. Is its tone was not consistent. At times it was just bad, and other times it was kind of like, can't be fun.
Is one of the reasons you don't like Street Fighter so much is Raul Julia's constant Susan Sarandon impersonation, Mike? Because like, there's a couple times where those eyes are bulging, you know.
I was scared for his eyes. I was.
Yeah, it may have been what killed him. So,
but there are some pretty funny. I would say that probably some of the best funny moments, like when they first get E Honda and they're beating the crap out of him with the cane, and he's just sitting there picking his teeth. And they're whipping him. It's just kind of a goofy scene.
Yep.
There are good gags in the movie. It's just they don't all land, and they keep trying.
Right.
They keep firing and firing, and you're like, whoa.
It's like they're waiting for the laugh track, and it never came. So they're like, keep going, just keep going. It's fine.
It would have been really great if Jean-Claude Van Damme played it straight and everybody else was very campy and over the top around him, and he was very oblivious to all of that craziness.
Yeah. Good.
Or the other way around would have been good too.
There are a lot of avenues you could have taken that would have made it more coherent and consistent, including one where Jean-Claude Van Damme isn't in on the joke because he's always high on cocaine. I like the idea of that. Mortal Kombat has a pretty consistent tone. It starts pretty dour and stays that way. The only real comedy comes from Johnny Cage and some of his interactions maybe with Sonya Blade. But yeah, not a lot of, well, Liu Kang trying to play jokes on Johnny Cage or one up him or little gags and jokes here, but a pretty serious movie. You spoke earlier about Mortal Kombat starting life as an R-rated violent cursing movie, and I think if they remade it now, that would be awesome, because that was the spirit of Mortal Kombat. It was the violent game, the one your parents hated, that they had meetings in Congress about, like they wanted to ban it. They said it was making kids crazy. Like, they should have embraced that, but back then you couldn't really do that. Now I think if they remade it, gave it a more coherent tournament style story and sprinkled in some of that fantastical stuff and kept it R-rated, it'd be great.
Yeah, I think movies like Deadpool and stuff like that have shown that you can you can get away with that now and be successful in the box office. Yeah. Because I think there's still a tendency for studios to want to hit that PG-13 because they feel like that's the way we're really going to rake in the dough. If we can get those kids into the theater, if we can get them to drag their parents there and buy a bunch of, treats and soda and everything, then we're gonna really rake it in. But I think what they miss sometimes is that you're gonna make money if you make a quality movie. Like I felt like Deadpool was. Deadpool was genuinely entertaining and funny, and it was more adult. And lo and behold, they killed it at the box office. So I don't know. I think they could get away with it these days, and it might actually be kind of fun.
You okay, Mike?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You okay?
Yep. Just working on.
Are you writing us all out of your will?
You act like I have things to give.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was working on the show notes because I am ill prepared for tonight. Anyway, let's go ahead and vote. Gabe.
I'm gonna go Street Fighter.
All right, Andrew.
I'm gonna go with Street Fighter as well on this one.
All right, Kyle.
I like a lot of scenes in Street Fighter, but I guess if you want to keep it to keeping it coherent and feeling all in the same vein, I'll give it to Mortal Kombat.
All right, and Tom.
I'm going to give it to Street Fighter, and I didn't mention this, but I thought the fighting scenes in Mortal Kombat were an absolute fucking mess. Like, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, neither of them was really strong in that.
No. And, like, people would throw a punch, and they would cut to another angle, and they'd just be, like, standing there, and I'm like, that was kind of weird. So, anyway.
Yeah, it's like they didn't have a choreographer or someone who'd ever shot a fight before.
Well, I think that's the problem. Both of these films guys who had never directed before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
John
when you say
Woo's Mortal Kombat would look badass.
Yeah, because when you say we're making a video game movie, they just come out of the woodwork, don't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody wants that on their resume.
Yeah. I did enjoy. I like the scorpion fight and the reptile fight. Probably the best.
They're kind of set piecey, like they feel like a level in the game.
Yes.
I remember watching in the movie theater. I loved the scorpion one. The rows of trees and just like the confusion of what's going on. It felt really cool and like you were transported to this level, like you're stuck here and you have to fight your way out to live. And I enjoyed that part. There's almost no one-on-one fighting in Street Fighter.
There's not.
Right.
I mean, what?
Bison and Guile at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's almost none.
Yep. All right. Trivia. Shit. Sorry, guys. Director Paul W.S. Anderson credits Christopher Lambert for smoothing over his first job on a big movie. Lambert, a veteran of several Hollywood blockbusters, never got overwhelmed by the large scale of production, and his laid-back attitude positively influenced the other, less experienced people on the set. Even Ed Boon, co-creator of the original video game, admitted that Lambert did a great job despite not being Asian like the character's depiction in the game. Since Lambert was the most expensive actor on set, the production could only afford him for a few weeks of close-ups in an LA studio. A stand-in would be used for the wide shots filmed in Thailand. However, Lambert believed that the movie would be better if it was him all the time, so he came to Thailand for no extra charge. He even paid for the rap party afterwards.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah,
I like Christopher Lambert. I love the Highlander.
That's
movies,
cool.
And I liked him as Raiden. I like to hear him talk. I think that's the problem. Not like
just like to hear
Van Damme.
Christopher Lambert talk.
Yeah.
Not like Van Damme.
Yeah. Director Stephen E. D'Souza deferred his salary to pay for his cast. So that poor guy didn't even get paid for dealing with. He didn't even get $10,000 a week.
That's where
for food.
Yeah,
that's where the
his
money
salary
went.
Yep.
Oh Jesus!
All for
Up Van
cocaine.
Damme's nose.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to our fourth and final round, which is overall.
Round 4.
The thing that I would say about overall, I would definitely say that Mortal Kombat fit more of the video game style. We've talked a little bit about how the cuts are quick. We change sceneries, sets, characters very quickly, and it feels more like what was in the actual video game, from the actual visual effects and actually having special powers and all that extra that came with it. It felt like you were actually watching a movie that was a video game, like someone was sitting there with a controller. And for some of the parts, obviously there was dialogue that was much slower that you would just say skip.
You just a button to skip.
Yeah. I would definitely say that Street Fighter had a definite way to go. They were looking to actually make a movie that was a sit down, watch the movie, get a story out of it, care about characters, care about the situation that was going on. And it felt more of like they were doing a movie instead of, it could have been called, Bad Times in some village, and it wouldn't have made any difference, because basically the characters' names were what really stood out for the video game. I don't know. I would say on production level, they're equally the same. I don't really see much of a difference. Like, you don't feel like one was spent more money on than the other. However, I do say that out of all of it, Mortal Kombat's soundtrack was better. They actually sold a bunch for the soundtrack, and they made sequels, and they made 2 prequels, and they made a TV series all based around Mortal Kombat. And Street Fighter, I think, died with Street Fighter.
Actually, it did not. But I've got to wait until wait till later.
Yeah.
I know what Mike's talking about.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and then there was the Mortal Kombat Legacy and Legacy 2, which was the prequels, and then they had a whole TV series, and
yeah. How do you? I don't know how you extend it out to a whole series.
Oh, the TV series was bad.
Yeah.
As the games went on, they expanded this crazy lore of Otherworld, and they added all these other big bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they kept doing that with every subsequent game that came out.
Yeah. So a couple of things I think stand out in these movies is one that Andrew mentioned already, is the soundtrack in Mortal Kombat. And that opening sequence, the title sequence, is probably the best part of the movie. with
The
the
music
flames
starts-
and the logo and that
It
music.
It starts before the studio logo even comes up.
Yeah, and that part is awesome. That gets you a little bit excited, like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit of a letdown after that.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little
Yeah,
bit.
a little bit. I'm being generous.
Yeah.
And then with Street Fighter, one of the things that I liked about Street Fighter was the costumes.
Yeah.
I thought the costumes were pretty awesome. I don't know, for that kind of movie, I was like, oh, I like this. These are pretty cool. Bison's costume was pretty cool, and all the kind of multicolored camouflage stuff was pretty awesome. I liked the costumes in that.
There was
Bison's outfit got its own credit. The person who made it got their own credit.
How does that work? How does that work? It's like, hey, want to hire you to do costumes? Like, man, I'll do Bison's, but figure out anybody else.
I don't know.
The flag tattoo on Guile's arm was backwards.
Jean-Claude Van Damme went into his closet and was like, hey, I got some of these from this last movie. We could just color in some of the straps. It'll be cool.
You mean I get to wear camouflage and a tank top?
Do I get to do the splits? Because you have to pay me extra for that.
No shit, he didn't do the splits in this movie.
That's right, because he
didn't, but he
copyrighted the move.
He did the thing like
The guy
flying through
kick.
the air kick kind of thing. He did that several times. Where he
Sonic
flew.
boom!
Yeah, he never threw a sonic boom. There's not very
No.
many projectiles. Although there's one point where Ryu hits a guy and there's like a flash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
but
like,
he never. He
yeah,
never
there's
does
no-
the Shuriken!
Yeah, there's no projectiles in these.
Hyper uppercut!
I got like they're like in the final fight and they're beating, he's finishing off Bison, and I had this really kind of sad moment where I was like, I don't think they're gonna leave here and go like beat up Bison's car. I don't think that's gonna be in the movie. And I kept telling myself, I was like, when's the scene when they beat up the car? Because that was my favorite part of the game, and I could just picture him like, oh hey, it's Bison's car. Let's kick the shit out of it, even though he's dead. And I finally got close to the end, and I'm like, I just don't think this is gonna happen.
Great.
Well,
That's the kind of scene that would have fit in this movie if they'd have made it all like that scene with Bison and Chun-Li.
Yes.
If they'd have created that sort of feeling throughout the whole movie, a scene like that would have been so self-referential and funny.
Yeah, 'cause
right.
they don't do any of that stuff like Mortal Kombat when you do the test your might.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat soundtrack up there with Blade and Spawn is like some of the most awesome soundtracks of the 90s.
Well, and they mixed in a lot of the video game sounds with it. They did this whole like techno remixes of all of them, and it was big.
Now was all that music original for that movie?
Yeah.
Or were those?
No.
Did they use songs that were
They used
popular
songs.
at the time?
Not necessarily popular, but it made them popular.
Well, the Mortal Kombat like soundtrack, the one that started the Mortal Kombat, that was a mix of the video game music and actually somebody did some techno-ness to it and made it like the dance mix.
I see.
Because that's what really got that album. I mean, people loved that song. You could go to a club and they would play that freaking song.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, here you go, is George S. Clinton did A Taste of Things to Come, Gravity Kills, KMFDN, DM,
Oh yeah.
sorry,
Yep.
Psycho Sync, Tracy Lords, Orbital, Utah Saints, GZR, Fear Factory, Sister Machine Gun, Typo Negative, Bile, Napalm Death, Mother's Day Out, The Immortals, and then George S. Clinton featuring Buckethead and George S. Clinton. But
A lot of those are techno groups.
yeah, I love.
Yeah. I know a lot of those.
I love
Because Orbital was on Hackers.
Oh, hackers.
Yeah, I love the Orbital. Jesus Christ, Orbital song. It's called Halcyon and On and On. I used to like put that on whenever I was having trouble sleeping.
Hackers.
Let's see, Control by Tracy Lords, which is just the instrumental. Juno Reactor did that. Juke Joint Jezebel, by KMFDM. And
that's in that movie? Wow.
Yes, and Goodbye by Gravity Kills.
Now, are there songs on the soundtrack that do not appear in the movie? That happens sometimes.
No, everything here, I believe, was in the movie.
Yeah,
and I don't. And back then, that was harder. That was harder to do.
Yes.
Music inspired by Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a standout part of that movie.
Yeah.
Probably one of the more positive notes, so to speak.
This
I bet if you ask people,
the music video is actually better for the main theme than the movie.
This soundtrack and Reservoir Dogs soundtrack was played a lot in my car. In high school.
The Reservoir Dogs soundtrack. Yeah. Damn, that's a good one too.
Yep. Both of these, I think I wore out both tapes because I'm still using tapes.
Tapes.
Yeah.
There was
keyword tapes.
There was a Mortal Kombat album called Mortal Kombat Songs Inspired by the Warriors.
Nice. Oh, gotta get my hands on that. I think I got some iTunes credits.
Yeah, but I was trying to pay attention to the music in Street Fighter, and it was just god awful. It was. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't have a strong positive recollection of the music in Street Fighter.
No, and I do want to say I remember seeing this is one movie all computer generated graphics. Right, this is one movie where they're trying to do some of that, like the tower, Shang Tsung's tower, and they were really trying with Reptile, which I agree just looks bad now, but back then I remember it looking bad, and I was like, all right, but you can just kind of see that starting to get its grip in movies. Where they're like, oh, hey, this is affordable. Oh, hey, we can actually try and do this now.
But even just the makeup and like we talked about earlier with Goro, they actually tried to do animatronics mixed with a really elaborate suit with an actor, stuff like that. And it was. I think we talked about our one character earlier. Good old Blanca.
Oh, poor Blanca.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just there's a night and day difference there, and I don't know if that was budget or if it was just the people they got to actually do the assisting for the visuals and the makeup. I don't know, because you wouldn't think that they got anybody really expensive.
Yeah,
their money went.
All right.
Wait, I do know where their money went. Up Jean-Claude Van Damme's nose.
Yeah.
And that's why
a stealth boat. Yeah. We need a stealth boat.
Stealth boat, man. Oh, I watched this movie with Heather, and she was incredulous at the stealth boat. The fucking water is still moving. Yes. Stealth boat is the dumbest idea. And I was like, yeah, you know what? It's also dumb if you're in a stealth boat. Immediately open fire on radar dishes.
Yes.
Why would you do that? That's the thing you're trying to go away from. Drive a regular fucking boat and blow up the radar dishes. So stupid. That's so dumb.
But stealth boat was getting us to the sports car so we could beat it up.
Oh, I would love that.
That's why I went along for the ride. We never got there.
All right. Yeah. You guys have anything else to say overall? Are we good? All right. We'll put it to Andrew.
For overall, based on, I felt that it was closer to the video game and some of the visual effects. They tried. The fighting in both are bad, and the quick cuts in Mortal Kombat are bad. It makes the fighting look terrible, but at least I felt like I was watching a video game. So I'm going with Mortal Kombat on this one.
All right, Kyle.
Oh boy. It's a real Sophie's choice here. I don't think either of them very good. Street Fighter is so self-referential, it almost hurts at some points. Bison pulls out a damn Street Fighter controller at one point.
Yeah.
And controls minds. So, yeah. I mean, I feel like they get it. Like they get what they're doing. I gotta give it to Street Fighter, but I don't like it.
Tom.
I'm gonna give it to Street Fighter. They do lose a couple points because how awesome would it have been if they were playing Rolling Stones as they rolled up in the stealth boat, playing Street Fighting Man. Oh my god, been awesome.
So Mick, we got a great idea for your song, Stealth Boat, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Get out of here! No, you can't have my song.
That'd be so sweet. Anyway.
General, someone knocked out our aircraft, our radar dishes. While that song's playing.
Yeah.
Great. The real Apocalypse Now moment with Ride of the Valkyries.
Exactly. That's where it goes.
Yeah.
They'd be like, because you'd be watching Street Fighter and like, did they just do an Apocalypse Now homage?
That'd be great. That actually would be great. That would really be good. We could make a good Street Fighter movie, you guys.
Still happen.
There is a good one out there.
There is.
Yeah. Just real quick, Tom, you said Street Fighting Man, and all I could think of was Chris Farley and Dirty Work.
Seven.
You hit G8.
Like pina coladas. Oh my God.
All right, Gabe.
I'm gonna give it to Mortal Kombat in this category for the music.
All right. So I know I was saying you guys were killing my high school, but I totally agree with a lot of this. After rewatching these, and however many years it's been since they first came out, back in high school though, this was considered the best video game movie, which isn't saying much, but all the guys were like, Mortal Kombat definitely, because going to see Street Fighter just felt like a kick in the balls. Like they weren't taking it seriously, and all we wanted to do was see a good video game movie. I sat through Super Mario Brothers. I sat through Double Dragon, which we're gonna have to do sometime. Which holy shit! And I just wanted something good, and Mortal Kombat was the closest that you could get to something good. And I loved Kano. I don't know why. I just loved that character. I thought he was really good in it, except they just let Sony kill him.
He had almost no part.
But I have really good memories of this movie and discussing it with friends and listening to the soundtrack, and it's just something that was a part of my high school that I love. And I remember just dissing on Street Fighter, but after watching Street Fighter again, which I haven't seen it in years, I actually enjoyed watching it. I think I agree with you guys where they knew what kind of camp they were doing, but I still just can't forgive the fact that they could have done something great. They could have done something without a Street Fighter 2 arcade controller on Bison's desk.
That was
it's
you didn't like that?
I did not like that.
Oh, I thought that was awesome.
It's very bittersweet for me because I did enjoy watching it again, and I kind of got it now, and maybe it's only because I'm in my 40s and I'm like, oh, stupid video game movies. But back then that was like, they've got to make this, they got to do it right. And I think that's why I've always had a distaste for it. I like a lot of the parts in Mortal Kombat. I can't help it. I love Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage. I like his dialogue. I like how he delivers the lines. It's just something that I have learned and to love and have fond memories of. But I did enjoy watching both of these movies again. It was a lot of fun. And here's the last part of my trivia. A music video was created for the KMFDM single Juke Joint Jezebel and featured clips of fight scenes from the movie, but it was pulled by MTV due to complaints about its violent content, which is really kind of weird.
And they could only play it in the After Dark, MTV After Dark
There is
Yes, your baby got back.
in Street Fighter. There is an oil painting in Bison's private quarters of a frowning clown holding a cluster of balloons and wearing Bison's signature cap, which really makes me want one. This is a reference to the famous Pogo the Clown oil paintings done by the infamous serial killer John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know why they had that in there, but I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah,
it was again. That was that same scene where they seemed to have it all together in that scene.
Yes,
and it kind of worked. And even something like that really stood out. Like what?
But Raul Julia,
it still kind of worked.
Raul Julia is so good, so good.
They started with that scene.
Yeah. Well, and I had just watched Addams Family like a week before I watched the Street Fighter movie because it was just on TV. I'm like, holy crap, I haven't seen Addams Family in a long time. And just Raul Julia, good actor. It's too bad that this was his last film. Really, it is.
Yeah, it's really kind of a sad story.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our recommendations for this month. And we will start with Kyle.
Okay, I'm actually going to recommend something that's in theaters right now. I just saw it last night. It's a movie called Searching with John Cho and Deborah Messing, I believe, is the other lead in the movie. Very cool movie. I love the way it is told. Don't want to give away spoilers, but it is all told through either viewing a computer desktop, a FaceTime that's going on, a stream from a newscast. None of it is shown like you would see a movie just shot straight through a camera onto some action. It's all shown through other media. And it's about a father looking for his daughter who's gone missing and kind of snooping through her life on the computer to try to figure out where she may have gone or what may have happened to her. And I think it's awesome. I think it is really innovative in the way it tells the story. A lot of the beginning of the story is told with almost zero dialogue and just musical cues and other things that pop up on desktops and things they navigate through. I think it's great. I think it's well worth your time to watch it. It really is unique to me, the way the story is told. And I think it'd be really enjoyable if you guys check it out.
All right. Sounds good, Kyle. Tom.
I have no recommendations because neither of these directors have made a good movie, and all video game movies suck. So, one of the reasons I enjoyed watching Street Fighter so much is that I went in with really, really low expectations, and I enjoyed it. But I mean, honestly, there is not a single good video game movie out there. So I was kind of hoping tonight we'd talk a little bit about why you think that is, because I mean, like, what is it, like 0 for 36 is weird. Like, there should be a reason why this isn't happening, but.
Telling me Prince of Persia with Jake Gyllenhaal isn't good?
It's okay. I don't know.
I don't know.
I just think there's something weird going on where I don't know why they can't make a good video game movie. And people are like, well, what about Ready Player One? I'm like, that's not a video game movie. No, that's a movie with video games in it. Right. So I don't know. My recommendation is to think hard on this and figure out why it is. If you're going to push me for a title, I'd say go watch 8th Grade. It's a new movie that came out and I saw it yesterday. And it is just absolutely stunning filmmaking. It's the first movie I'd seen by Bo Burnham, and his direction is just completely over the top. And I shouldn't say over the top, it's the opposite of that. It's very subtle, but he uses camera and depth of focus in such just the perfect way and to draw your attention around the screen and tell this very personal story that has no video games in it. So it's the opposite of a video game movie.
All right. So
what about Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender?
Fucking sucks. It came out and everybody thought it was going to be great. I thought it was going to be good too, and it was like a huge letdown. And now everybody's like, oh, well, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, I don't care. It wasn't great. Why has there not been a great video game movie? Where is Donkey Kong the movie?
Okay, here you
Rampage.
go.
I thought Rampage. I was like, boy, you know what? If they do this right, this could be it. No, it was just kind of like meh.
Yeah, it was just kind of fun.
It is. It was. I mean, it was a rock movie, and rock movies are fun. But I don't know why they can't just make, because there are great stories in these games. I don't get it.
Well, here you go. Okay, Resident Evil, Double Dragon, Warcraft, Alone in the Dark, Max Payne, Wing Commander, Silent Hill, Super Mario Brothers, Assassin's Creed, Blood Rain, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Hitman Agent 47, Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li, Hitman, House of the Dead, Postal, Tekken, Street Fighter, Doom, Ratchet and Clank, Rampage, Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Retribution, Tomb Raider, Need for Speed, Resident Evil The Final Chapter, Far Cry, Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Why is Edge of Tomorrow on here? And the Pokemon Wizard's on here. The Wizard. In the Name of the King, Silent Hill Revelation, Blood Rain 2, Deliverance, and Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. Are what are popular.
Yeah.
And I'm looking through there. Most of these are Yui Ball movies, so that explains a lot.
Yeah, Yui Ball and Paul W.S. Anderson. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. And every time one comes up, I'm like, maybe this is it. But I think there's just something systematically wrong with Hollywood and video games where they're not connecting in a good way, and I don't know what it is.
Well,
so
I hope my recommendation changes it. I hope it changes it. So
okay,
Gabe, what's your recommendation?
I'm going to recommend a movie I saw just recently, Isle of Dogs. I found it very quirky and entertaining and touching, and the animation is really fun. I was a little bit surprised. It was a movie when I saw the previews that I was interested in seeing, and I got an opportunity to see it just recently, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So it's very heartwarming and very very fun. I would definitely recommend Isle of Dogs.
All right.
And it's by one of my favorite directors, Wes Anderson.
Yep. And it's a very Wes Anderson type of film, but that's what makes it very. It makes it very satisfying. It's really entertaining.
All right, thanks, Gabe. Sorry, I'm reading this. So my recommendation is actually the better Street Fighter movie, which is animated. It's Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. It was released in '94, and after watching it, you'll be like, yeah, why couldn't they have done this? Now I'm not saying it's fantastic. I know Tom's choice in movies is different than mine, but it is definitely a lot better than the original live action Street Fighter. And I will throw this in. Bryan Cranston actually does a voice in it, which really threw me off. That's what I was reading while Gabe was finishing up. He voices Fei Long, which is really weird.
What a weird choice.
Yes, yeah.
Basically Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Weird.
So if you guys can watch Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, I have a copy of it. I would be glad to let you guys borrow it. You can watch it. The soundtrack is actually really good. It has Alice in Chains. It has oh god, I can't think of the other acts in it. But yeah, the American version, there's the Japanese version, American version. I prefer the English dub version, which has our music on it. So check out Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, released in 1994.
It's streaming on Prime Video right now.
Hey, there you go. Oh, it's so good. And I think you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. I think someone's got the entire one on YouTube. But
I remember loving that movie.
Yes,
it's a much better Street Fighter movie.
So much better. There's street fighting in the movie.
Yeah. Yep. It's dark too. It's got some really dark content.
It does. Yeah.
Like much darker than Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, and it's got KMFDM in it. They one of their songs is in it as well. All right, Tom. I don't know if you're ready for this, but I saw your post about the Academy backing down now about that new category they were going to put in.
Yes.
Oh, they are. Yeah, there's been. I just saw who was it? He was on Stephen Colbert last night, and he was talking about it.
Was it Rob Lowe?
Yeah, it was Rob Lowe, and he was very outspoken about thinking it was a really bad idea.
I thought it was a bad idea when it first came out, and then I started thinking about it, and I've come around to it, and I thought, it's not a horrible idea. I think just using box office as a way to find a pool of movies and then picking the best 5 out of that pool and nominating them. Because I looked at the top 20 films in the box office. There are good movies out there. And I think this would have been a big step towards telling people, just because a movie's popular doesn't mean it's bad. There are good movies that do well at the box office. But for some reason, and I'm in this New Yorker film group on Facebook, and they are fucking snobby as shit. I mean, they are just like, they just got really stuck up, and there's like, if it's popular, it's no good. And I'm like, that's not true. I mean, just look at the top of the box office, and there's quality movies up there. And so I kind of came around on it, and I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea. I read the reason they stopped doing it, or they pulled back on it this year, is because, well, you can't announce an award in August. Yeah. And like every movie that's come out so far is like, well, what the fuck, man? We like, could you tell us that we're up for this award? And now everybody that comes out after the announcement had an advantage. So I see why they pulled it back. It makes sense. They need to wait and slow down a little bit. But I hope they do something with it, because I think giving people a chance to vote on the Oscars by going to movies and buying a ticket is kind of a cool way to get them into it. And I'm sure the people that make movies are like, yeah, sure, charge them $10 for each vote. That sounds right. So yes, I hated it when I first began, but I've come around to it, and I think it's a good idea. I was a little disappointed in the news today, but it makes sense.
All right.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. And sorry, I totally skipped Andrew for his recommendations. Andrew, what's your recommendation? I'm sorry.
Well, mine is not a video game movie either. It's one that I recently saw, and that was Adrift, and it's the true story about the couple. They go out. It's in the 80s, and they go out on a schooner, and they get hit by Hurricane Harvey, and it's her surviving and him surviving out in the middle of nowhere adrift, and it's shot very well. It's amazing what they did, because they actually shot out in the middle of the ocean in Taiwan, out in the middle of nowhere, and then went down to Tahiti and shot in the middle. And I mean, some of the shots are just incredible. They didn't want to shoot on a backlot in a big tank, and it shows. It's one of those movies that it's weird, because you sit there and you're like really suspensed, and you're just like, oh, I cannot imagine being in that moment when a 40-foot wave hits you out in the middle of the ocean of nowhere. So it's worth watching, if anything, just for the story, but it cinematically is just beautiful. They shot it really well, and it's one of the few movies that they don't actually use fake CG water. They do a little bit, but for the most part, it's the real thing. They're out in the middle of the nowhere of the ocean, and it's quite good. So, and by the way, I do want to point out that I thought Final Fantasy was a pretty good video game movie.
The
Sony CG one that was done in the 90s.
Oh yeah,
Spirits Within.
Spirits Within.
Yes.
Oh, I remember seeing that in the theater I think I saw it with Mike.
It was one of those. It was one of those movies that I watched, and I was like, "Yeah, I really want to do this stuff. I really want to do this."
Well, they did the Final Fantasy VII movie as well, didn't they? I thought they did.
Yeah, they made something.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's full length or not.
Advent Children or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, those.
They keep trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within was more of the visual amazing of creating humanistic CG characters that had never been seen before. It didn't follow the role-playing game Final Fantasy.
No, it didn't. No.
But oof.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Let's go ahead and poke the monkey, find out who won.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is Street Fighter!
Fatality.
Nobody.
Street Fighter.
No.
None of us won. Not a single one.
Andrew, where can people find you, stalk you, maybe challenge you to a street fight?
Sure. ArizonaInkStudios.com, and that's Arizona Ink with a K and not a C. And of course, on the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the YouTubes. We launched a brand new website here recently, so go ahead and check that out and get part of the conversation. Talk about our films, talk about other films. That's what it's for. It's a very social, connected site, so enjoy.
All right. Gabe?
You can look me up on Facebook, check out our YouTube channel for One Genome Short Productions, or check us out at onegenomeshort.com.
Tom?
People can generally find me on Vimeo. Wedding Day Rewind, our stuff's on there. Facebook. But generally, you can find me down at Timeout, our local barcade. If you're lucky, you can catch me dropping a quarter into Mortal Kombat, but more often you'll see me over at Street Fighter 2 with my $5 in quarters.
Do you prefer the original Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2?
I like the original. I like the original. The original Street Fighter 2.
Okay.
So
there's like 12 of them.
Yeah.
Guile is my character. So.
Guile, really?
Yeah,
Wow,
I really
you're
like
a
Guile.
guy.
I'm a rip the sleeves off and just beat the shit out of the other guy kind of guy. So, but you guys know that.
It shows.
You guys,
yeah, we can.
We do.
Yeah, when we
people
meet you
notice that when I
personally.
walk down the street.
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
Give
here
that guy a
comes
wide berth.
Yeah, here comes 130 pounds of terror. I'm a lot heavier than 130. But that's funny. Anyway, sorry.
Kyle.
I really don't have much social media presence. I guess you could search me on Facebook if you want to. You can most likely catch me pumping quarters into Killer Instinct, which was my preferred fighting game of the 90s.
Nice.
But other than that, I'll just be pumping quarters in my basement.
Is that a euphemism?
God, please do.
Well, I don't have an arcade machine, so don't figure it out.
I'm with you, Kyle, on the Killer Instinct. I love that game.
Oh, I love it. That soundtrack was also great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have that soundtrack as well.
Used to come with the black cartridge.
Yep.
Yeah.
For Super Nintendo. Yep.
Yes.
All right. We would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmack. For October, we're going to try and leave quietly as Get Out stalks A Quiet Place. For Gabe, Kyle, Tom, Andrew, and myself, thanks for listening, and go catch a flick.
Quick! Change the channel!
No
Ryugen!
That was good. That was
Come here!
Excuse me, it's Get Over Here, Tom. As an avid Street Fighter 2 player, you should know that.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.